Hi everybody, the One Metha here, and thank you for once again joining me on my journey as I go through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. For those of you that don't know, I've been reading fanfiction for almost 15 years, and my account on fanfiction.net had a very bloated favorites list when I started this, and it honestly still is really large. So I decided to reread the stories, sorted by publication date, and see if they still deserve to stay on my list or not. I've gone through over 400 stories so far, and about half of them have been trimmed, so let's jump into a Naruto Negima crossover with Unwanted Travelling by Airheaded Dude. And as I said, this is a Naruto Negima crossover that takes place after Naruto canon. This was written in 2010, so I don't think Naruto is actually finished yet. So this just implies that there was a war with Madara and everybody, and then Naruto became a big hero, and then he does a sealing. He was like practicing sealing, and then him and Konohamaru also end up just in Negima right before the first big fight with Neji and Evangeline. So the fact that Naruto has a comrade with him, like somebody else from his world, changes a lot of how I feel about this story. You know, because it adds more character dynamics to play with than the traditional just one character with the currently existing cast. Because this instead of this feeling like just a story where we're just following this one character who's out of place, like Naruto or whoever it would be, this one it's more like an ensemble piece where we have four main characters with like Naruto, Neji, Konohamaru, and Evangeline. And it just keeps swapping perspectives from each one of them as Negima's canon happens. There's a few extra Naruto elements that get thrown in near the end, but it's still mainly Negima stuff all throughout. While the story is incomplete, ending where most Negima fics die, which is the festival, the multiple layers of interaction and the more it's the mix of the laid-back nature. Like Naruto is like super calm, chill. He's the strongest guy in the room, and he can like handle everything. Whereas Konohamaru is like really edgy and like twitchy and like super determined. And their mixing personalities along with the rest of Negima's cast and stuff makes it really interesting. And again, even though it's not finished, I really just like the character interaction a lot, and I thought it was a lot of fun, and I definitely wouldn't mind coming back to this, so it's going to stay on my list. Alright, number 2 is Points of Familiarity by Charles Bhepin. Charles Bhepin, if you have watched my videos before, a while back, he is the author of Shinji and Warhammer 40k, whose story I liked a hell of a lot. And this one is another Evangelion crossover, this time with Familiar of Zero. And this is when we're at the start of Familiar of Zero. The main character summons a familiar and gets it's like an isekai where normal boy gets summoned, and here instead it's Shinji that gets summoned. And this is a Shinji post Third Impact who basically has the entire humanity's consciousness inside of his head, and so can access like their thoughts and abilities and stuff like that, but they're also talking back to him. It creates a bit of an interesting dynamic because this is very much a Shinji who is super depressive and believes that everything bad he deserves to be punished tremendously, and he's like suicidally depressed, and so he takes all the stupid abuse that Louise puts on him. This is a very slow fic. It goes over, it's like over 100,000 words, and the story barely progresses through like maybe 3 or 4 episodes of the anime. and it ends like basically right after Siesta's the maid gets like picked up by Lord Mott, and then they save her. Like that's it. And that's really very, very early on. The interactions within Shinji's mind, especially like his inner monologues and like his interactions with all the rest of the people in his head, are fun as we see how he summons others to figure out what's going on. And some of the other characters get bits of growth, you know, like Siesta, but this is mainly Shinji's show, and everybody else is just are very much just side characters in how they're written. And while it is fun for a bit, the story is just really, really slow, and it doesn't have the. And while like, you know, Shinji and the Warhammer 40k story was also very slow and very like overwritten in some parts. The difference is there's a lot of action and stuff that's happening, whereas here it's just a lot of inner, not quite whining, but like a lot of like inner pitifying and just like justification for his torture. The author, this story is dead. Not the others like were just droned off, but the author did basically cancel this and start a new fic, which is a rewrite. So yeah, you can just ignore this, and it's not going to stay on my list. Number 3 for this video is Harry Potter and the Next Overlord by JLawrence Kenny. And this is Harry Potter, obviously, crossed with Overlord, the game, not the anime. I think this is before the anime came out, so yeah. But this is we're still in 2010, not. But yeah, this is the old game, which the game series I did like. I had the first one, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. So in that game series, for those of you that don't know, you basically get found by a bunch of like evil gremlins, and they're like, you're going to be the next evil overlord to save the day, and you basically are taking over the kingdom as like a Sauron reject after the Fellowship killed the last Sauron. And in this one, what happens is Harry Potter falls into a pit and gets picked to be the next overlord. During, I think this was the summer after his fifth year, I think. I know so it tries in a few aspects to match like the humor of the games, which I completely understand is very hit or miss for people. Like I like it, but I know it's not for everybody. And it tries the story tries to match it in certain ways, but it's very much more just a straightforward tale of Harry just getting extra tools to fight Voldemort. The problem is the story, because the story doesn't commit to the ridiculousness of the games, it feels a bit like it doesn't know what to do with itself, you know, because like basically if you're gonna use this crossover thing to go with Overlord, you basically have to go one of two ways. Either you go super dark and embrace the fact that he's going to be evil and go all that, or you just go with the comic absurdity and go with like this ridiculousness of the stupid shit that's going on. And this story does neither. The story's incomplete, not even getting through the summer. So it was the 7th book, not 6th book, but like it doesn't even get through the summer, and aside from one like small kidnapping attempt, like nothing really occurs. It's just this is a waste of time. It's not terrible or anything, it's just there's no real reason to read this, and you can easily skip it. It's gonna fall off my list. More Harry Potter crossovers now with Thinking in Little Green Boxes by Dire Squirrel. So this starts off with a change right at the beginning of the Harry Potter canon, where instead of getting dropped off at the Dursley house, Harry Potter ends up at the doorstep of Deadpool. And this is that story where he gets raised by Deadpool. We get a bunch of there's a couple of chapters where he's still younger before he ends up going to Hogwarts, where he ends up jumping around various Marvel characters' houses and dealing with them. It's a lot of fun. Harry basically becomes a mini Deadpool, adopting like his similar like fourth wall breakingness and a lot of like rapid fire random references and humor. I like that stuff a lot. I like Deadpool as a character, and his game and how he's portrayed usually I enjoy a lot, and this is a lot more of that. If you don't like the super referencey fourth wall breaking humor, then you're not going to like this a lot. This is very, very much like meta gags and stuff like that. And you know, when he goes to Hogwarts, there's a shit ton of fun to be had with a bunch of the other characters having to interact with him, and the Marvel characters constantly showing up as well. I mean, there's not much else to say. This is Harry Deadpool. If you like if you like how people think of Deadpool and how his humor gets portrayed a lot, you'll enjoy this. If you don't, you don't. And I liked it a lot, and it's gonna stay on my list. Well, there's a lot of Harry Potter ones in this one. So this is Archmage by Dirty Raid. And this is another Harry Potter tries to become a superhero in the normal Harry Potter universe. Just using his magic to become a superhero. This story, the author even name checks Harry Potter Superhero by Seakill as its main inspiration. That story was also on my list. I'm pretty sure it didn't stay. You know what, let me just look it up. Let me see right now if it stayed or not. Let me see. No, it did not. Okay, so there we go. That one did not stay on my list, and this one doesn't. So that one didn't stay mainly because like it was incomplete along with other stuff. This one doesn't even get as far as that one did. It's just a bit like a couple It's like a chapter or two of Harry going on Amazon and buying a bunch of gear so that he can go out, and then he tackles a few bullies. That's it. This is the one difference between this and the previous Harry Potter trying to be a superhero fix is that this is an older Harry Potter. Again, not older is relative. Like this is still him during Hogwarts. Takes place after Order of the Phoenix, so he's about to be 16. So his attitude, instead of being like very oblivious and just like optimistic, is a little more jaded and devil may care, but still like nothing happens before the story just stops. And yeah, there's nothing really here to sink your teeth into. It's gonna fall off my list. Alright, next is, like I said, more Harry Potter. This one's called Cafe by Please Dial 123. And this takes place after Harry's third year, where as he's going home with the Dursleys, he just decides, hey, let me out, I'm gonna leave. And he leaves and takes his money and opens up a cafe. Oh, also, he finds somebody to teach him necromancy and demon summoning, which he's apparently just super amazing at after he wins goes really far in like an international dueling tournament. So that's very much like, honestly, all that stuff, like I said, like it's like whatever, that's very much to the side. The main thing is just him running this small cafe that he gets, and it's like just super domestic and simple. It doesn't finish, this summer, and it's just there, but it's like the author writes his chapters based on days instead of like a word count or anything. So certain chapters will only be one day and they'll be long. Other chapters will be multiple days and really short because the days will have nothing really in them. But so that's a little weird, but that's the thing where he still name checks every day where, oh, here's this day, nothing really happened, moving on to the next day, and so forth. It's not a bad way to separate how chapters work, but it does highlight how boring some of the things the author decides to write are, where like there's a bunch of days where Harry's just, oh, the movers came in, let me watch the movers do some stuff. Or, hey, the painters came in and they painted the house this color. That was a good day. And it's really, really boring. You know, it just goes so deep into like a bunch of boring minutia. And like I said, like the whole demon summoning and all that stuff, which again just is just, you know, to give him make him overpowered, and like, yeah, he's just super amazing and all that stuff like that. But it's very much just sidelined and not really that big of a factor in this story, that it doesn't really do anything. This is just really dull. You can skip this very easily, and it's gonna fall off my list. Alright, and the final story for this video is Which Way to Konoha by La D. And this is a Naruto fic that takes place during Shippuden, which is basically a comedy of errors fic, where Naruto, like, during a mission, like, goes missing and then eventually winds up back in Konoha and has to tell this, he's put on trial to say why shouldn't we just declare you a missing nin, and then he just goes on, here's what happened, and it's like essentially like a Dude, Where's My Car style journey where Naruto just accidentally goes from place to place because of a mishap or something, and is also too stupid and like calm to do things. Like when he gets arrested or basically thrown into a prison, he doesn't break out, he just sits there and stuff. It's really kind of dumb now that I think about it. Naruto is portrayed as pretty stupid. Not completely how do I tie my shoes stupid, but he is pretty dumb for considering this is post the time skip and stuff like that. You know, there's no huge moments of hilarity or stuff. It's very much just like kind of, oh, look at what stupid situation Naruto stumbled into this time, and look at how he casually solves it and makes it work for him and stuff like that. It's not super great. It's okay, but there's far funnier stories out there that are actually complete, because this one's not. So this one's gonna fall off my list. And that's it for this video. That was another 7 stories. If you're interested in any of them, please go ahead and read them. Links are in the description down below. If you want to leave a like for this, if you like this video, please leave a like. If you want to keep up to date when I keep posting more of these videos, please subscribe. I have a link to the playlist because I've been doing this for over a year. So if you want to see all the reviews, there's a link to the playlist, as well as if you want to read them and like just read this in a forum instead. I have a link to another forum where I'm also posting all of this, and also the link to the forum. You know what? I'll also, if you want to just look at my fanfiction.net profile to see how much I still have to go, or just see some of the stories that are still on this list, I'll have a link for that as well. So please enjoy. Hope you all are staying safe with all this stuff going on. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.